Okay, I'm back. I'm gonna do another like hour or so, maybe like hour and a half. I don't know. Really don't feel so great. I definitely caught something from the kids, or I suspect that's where I caught it from. Went to the gym, I eat and everything. I just don't feel fantastic. But anyway, let's pick up where we left off. So from 12:32 to 3:22, we were gone. So let's put 11:30 to 12:31 and 3:22 to equals we'll figure that out later. Right. Alright, so let's jump back in. We were debugging. Okay, so actually have this still pulled up in the terminal here. Should this keep running over and over again though, this line here in change attribute list at 94? So this is run. Okay. How about we just do this at the top of the file? Huh? I think that's what we should be doing here. Well, we don't want it to happen. How about this? Well, actually, this is where it's needed, so that's where we want to check it. Like, that's where it's used, so that is where we would want to check it. I wanted to make sure that it was being changed in this relative to like this file's perspective, because I'm changing it from outside of the file. This file is being imported into like server and client, and then I'm setting SS or CS in those files. And I just want to make sure that when I run this function here, it's reflecting those changes that I made in the file that I'm importing to. Okay, so let's trying to think what next exactly, because change size during iteration for key and dictionary. Well, that's old, right? It's not old. 434 and threaded clients. Let's go to server. Let's go to line 434. Oh, so are we doing it again? Oh, so this is the same. Like, wait a second. So where did we? Were the other changes in the client file the one that we like just fixed? Because we just fixed this problem. I'm guessing it was. Okay, yeah, so it was in client. So we have the same exact code in server. Okay, I see. Easy, that's an easy fix. Awesome. I mean, it's not awesome that we have a bug, but it's awesome like that I know how to fix this already, because it's the same exact section of code. So we're gonna change these from being copies because we put it in the wrong place. Honest mistakes are no excuse. They're still costly. The length of the dictionary is greater than 0 for key in dictionary. So now we're iterating through the dictionary. So this is where we want to make the copy. And I will go over here. That's all. Thought I had more written about it, but save me having to type it out. So now it's for key in dictionary dot copy. So it's a copy that's being iterated through, and it will eventually modify the copy. I mean, modify the original, but it's going to be iterated through the copy, so we don't have to worry about it disrupting iteration through object, which is no good. I mean, at least it throws an error though and crashes instead of just, you know, being scripted and not in the game. It's better for it to be out and open like that and to crash it. Okay, so for key dictionary.copy, yep, so this is the same exact thing, easy fix, there we go. So now we fixed that. Let's go ahead and just do it again. Maybe, you know, because it's strange behavior when you have bugs at the beginning, you know, like bugs like that. It might make you think that it's a problem elsewhere, and it's really better to just take a good look at that, trace back, and jump to any conclusions. I've done that a lot. Okay, so we cranked up the server, we got both clients running. It's the same thing going on here. Client 1 is doing it, but it's saying it's waiting on client. Frozen in time here. The server is doing its thing. It received what client sent. It's changing data, so it's calling this change attribute list SS or CS section over and over again, which is fine because that's what I added it for. So we're gonna Control C to kill that server script and see if we can. Okay, so we got a keyboard interrupt here, so I don't think server has the problem right now. Let's look at first client, see what's going on here. Okay. So this is us forcibly closing the connection when we kill the script. Alright. And I want to see what's the difference between OS underscore exit and sys underscore exit. I'm sure there is a difference, obviously, because there's two different things, so you would expect them to be at least a little bit different, but I'm not sure how different they are and whether or not we can just go ahead and replace sys with OS. I think we probably could do that, but alright, so let's go ahead and I don't like this slow. It's too slow. See os dot underscore exit versus sys dot underscore exit, and you can see that ChatGPT is just so good. ChatGPT is so great. So good. Honestly, learning the code with ChatGPT is just, it's great, dude. Okay, so here's the prompt. OS exit and sys exit are both user terminated Python program, but they serve different purposes and have different characteristics. Let's explore each one in detail. So OS underscore exit, the modules OS, obviously usage, OS dot underscore exit status is the parameter you pass to it instead of a number. It might still be a number. Functionality OS exit is a low-level function that terminates the process immediately with the given exit status code. It does not perform any cleanup. This means no cleanup. It bypasses Python standard cleanup procedures, including flushing IO buffers and calling finally blocks or cleanup handlers. Immediate termination. It is used for immediate termination of a process, especially in child processes created with os.fork. Typical use case is typically used in low-level code or in multiprocessing scenarios where an immediate exit is needed and no cleanup is desired. And since we are using multi-threading, I feel like this was why we used the underscore exit, because of that, the fact that it doesn't perform the standard cleanup operations. It's more of a hard shutdown. There's not like it's like it kills it, point blank period, the end, and that's what you want, I think. So then sys, it's actually the same parameter functionality, also terminates the program with a given status, but slightly different behavior. It does not perform Python level cleanup such as filling out buffers. Python specific. Sys exit is intended for using Python code and provides a way to exit without going through the normal exception handling and cleanup procedures. We need to exit Python program immediately and bypass standard cleanup routines. It is less commonly used than sys exit because it doesn't allow for cleanup or exception handling. Comparison: OS exit used in low where immediate termination. Okay. When interacting directly with the operating system, such as in child processes created. Okay, I see. Okay, so that makes sense that would be more for multiprocessing because that's handled by the operating system. As to where sys exit is more like Python specific. Okay. So basically they're the same thing. They're ultimately the same thing. So I just want to look real quick and see what are we doing here with this exit. And so this is at the end of the script, and I put remember to use sys exit, not OS exit, since sys executes proper cleanup code automatically. The 0 arg signifies a clean exit. Oh, so I actually said to do otherwise, but for some reason it says that sys._exit does not exist. It says it has no attribute. Am I typing it wrong? Am I not importing sys? I am importing sys. So what's the problem here? I don't understand. Yeah, this should be working since we I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I'm gonna use the restroom. Okay, so we have the saying that sysexit doesn't exist, which is kind of strange. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. I love Joy Volume 1, but the Volume 2 it's terrible. Huh? Something wrong with it. Oh, so it says false. It doesn't have it. Well, that's strange. Okay, so it says it does not. So it says false. Okay. So they removed underscore exit. It's no longer a thing. It's gone. So you have to use okay, whatever. Alright, so it doesn't exist. It's not a thing anymore. So we're just gonna use exit. Or let's try this. Okay, so they do still have OS underscore exit. Okay, fair enough. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what was the actual crash bug here though? So let's crank up server. Crank up the two clients and see what's the deal here, what's going on. So waiting for the other player to join, and apparently this player has joined, but it's not okay. Let's kill the server script. And I'm looking for hints here. Wait, it went to the draw one? But it shouldn't go to the draw one because so I know that the send works for client because client 1 is sending and it's working correctly. So if the send for the client is working, but we're not seeing, for one thing, we're not seeing this change attribute list little snippet print out. We're only seeing setup and create double deck. We're not seeing this initial send. So let me just go and look at that section, the earliest section. Which we can find that faster by looking for that. Try this again. There we go. Oh, okay, so that's right. We don't set the other one to that because they wouldn't be waiting for the other player. True. Okay, that makes sense. So this section must be working. So we're then going into the draw one. Let me go to server and see what's going on here. Set up, then the draw one. Okay, and then the draw one gets called, and the draw one is going to set the game state for each one to be the draw one. So then it should send that data. So it should send this. But it's not sending that. Am I correct in that assessment? So it's showing that it's at line 85. Okay. So the main thread should be stuck in this while loop right here, and that makes sense, but it never sent the data is the enter name num not set to 0 or something? Okay, so it is set to 0. Okay, so that does work, and you can see it runs twice, one for each client. So that part's working. Okay. And then we have the data transfer function. So maybe there's something up with this. Because it's not getting transferred, first of all. Yeah, I have a feeling that there's something up with the data transfer function. Because this should be transferred, and it's not. So that's not good. So let's open up that file and find data transfer function. Okay, so we have the cal object. Game object cal tube. Okay, so let's go ahead and so if SS or CS is SS, which from server side, that's where we're having the problem. It'll do, because all this up here is just imports, current time, matter name string. This is incrementing the apply counter. Okay, yeah, so this is where we're getting all these printouts from, but something's wrong. Something, either it's not getting transferred, so let's look at cal lock list function. It takes in cal object, passes in a cal tube, and then lock cal object a cal tube, and then the lock, and then it uses the lock. Okay. And let's make sure this is finishing. We'll put so we know that part's working. Let's try and see if this one's working. Okay, so the function is finishing, which means it's doing its thing. Alright. Okay, so it's getting added properly. So we're gonna look in threaded client. Let's try to find this. Let's log this while loop. So now we're gonna look for that to make sure this while loop is running over and over again. Okay, so it actually is only running one time. You see right here, main while loop starts, and then it doesn't. Okay, so it is. Okay, so it made it through here. Let me let it run for a second and see if. So it's not until I terminate the script. Okay, and that time we actually didn't even get to this start send section. So let me try at the start of the receive section, or let's put start application system section rather. I'm gonna say start application section. Okay, so we start the application start send section and nothing else until we kill it. Okay. I'm just gonna add some printouts all over for this. See if I can't get a better handle on what's going on with this file, so I can by rather having these logs that are gonna help me debug all this. Let's kill the script, let's run it again, and let's see how far exactly we get. Right, so we got both clients. Looks like the same behavior every single time as far as the client goes. Everything's like pretty constant here, and then when we kill this server script, okay, so I don't know what happened there. That was different. Maybe I did something wrong. Okay, here we go. Okay, so look at all that. See all that's going on? We have find a server listen, start accepting clients. We get connected to client 1, connected to client 2. Main while loop start. Why does this print out? Oh, it's printing out twice. Once for each. Okay, I see. Let's try this again. We gotta put current client.id. Okay, so now we have a bunch, and we have them more specific to let us know which client. Okay. Same behavior. And it looks like this time we don't have to kill the script. We have main while loop start for client 1. Then setup runs on the main thread. Then client 2 main while loop start. Client 1 start filter sent received section. Then server client 2 thread, same thing. Then set up create double deck. This is from the main thread. Then we get 1 and 2 starting the client receive data transfer function. Then we get 1 and 2 starting the receive section. And then we get 1 with the verified send because we did send data over at the initial stage. Client 2 doesn't actually send any data over, so there's no data to be received because they don't send any data. Only client 1 is supposed to. So this is all correct so far. And then client 2 starts the application section. Says current receive. So this is when they receive. This is client 1 receiving that data. Now client 2's thread is starting its send section because it didn't have anything to receive. Then client 1 is starting the application section to apply this data. Then we have thread 2, client 2 thread ending its first iteration of the main while loop, and nothing happened there. There was nothing that was sent, nothing that was received. But let's see, so starts the receive section. Okay, receive verification send. Starts the application section because it didn't have anything to receive, so it's ahead of client 1. Client 1 starts the application section after, and then client 2 ends its first run of the while loop. And its main while loop start for the client 2. While loop ends for client 1, and then client 2 starts filter sent received section. Then client 1's main while loop starts again. Then client 2 start client receive data transfer section runs. And client 1 thread starts the filter sent received section. Okay. And then receive data transfer. So it's right behind it. And then we have the draw 1. Okay. So the draw 1 here is supposed to initiate this function here. And immediately the current game state. Let's see, this is a calculated property, right? Yeah, well, I think that's what this means. Let's see. Click to show 2 definitions. Well, it didn't work. So let's do Control Shift F on this game state. Okay, here we go. So whenever we set the game state, if val is equal to tuple, well, in this case, it's not going to be equal to a tuple. It should call this data transfer function. And let's just make sure it's printing this. I mean, that this section is running. This is in server, and then this is gonna. No, I'm sorry, wrong. This is game, and this is game state setter. And then data transfer function. So let's make sure that part's working. So we're gonna run it again. Okay, looks like behavior is still the same. Nothing is different. I'm gonna Control C. And we do get this printout that we just created. So that part is working as it should. Alright. So if that's working as it should, then that's not the problem. So it should be getting appended to this function, to this change attribute list object through this function called calloc list function. And now I wanted to print this list, so let's just see what's happening here. So we'll do custom logger, traceback print log function, and we want to, let's see, we'll print out a list. Say a list equals a list. Let's make sure that it is indeed making its way into that list as we would expect it to. Okay, yeah, so it is. You can see the printouts here, which show that is indeed happening. Okay. Gotta figure out which one this is. And we'll put elif a list is equal to the C2 change attribute list. Okay, now let's try this again so we can have specific identification between the two clients here. That's a lot of pronouns now. Okay, here we go. 1 and then 2, and then this one's adding in what is your name. Then 1 is adding in text input active. Now 2 is adding in what is your name, and then 2 is adding in text input active. Okay, so all of this is working correctly. So the next step would be for it to get sent over the network. So that should be like the next that's the next step that we need to check, is it being sent properly. So as you can see, we're not getting any more printouts from the main while loop, and I wonder, could it have anything to do with this lock? Could it be due to a lock? I wonder. We might be, what do they call it? Deadlocked? We might be dealing with a deadlock right now. So that is called through this calculated property. The setter calls the data transfer function, which calls the calloc list function. So to make sure it's not getting caught up on the lock, which is the next step, let's print after the lock function to make sure that that's not the issue. Okay, so let's see if we get an after the calloc list function. Okay, so we are getting the after calloc list function, so it doesn't seem to be the like a lock issue, which, so then the next step, yeah, should be for it to get transferred from the server side to the client, and it looks like that is not happening. So as you can see, let's go up to the top here. We start our script, we have all the beginning stuff going on. That's what we receive from client 1. Then we start modifying things. Okay, so there's the game state for client 1, then client 2. Then we have the progression text for client 1. And we have text input active for client 1, progression text for client 2, and then text input active for client 3. So yeah, all this is working up until the point where it should start sending. So we should see, and this is all while the script is running, so if we kill the script now, let's see if anything changes. I'm going to highlight this, or I can't actually. So I killed the script, and no, nothing more was added. So yeah, it's actually locked for whatever reason. It is frozen after this calloc list function. But that data is not getting transferred. That data is not being sent. Because we should have a continuation. Let's see the main while loop. Where's the main while loop at? Okay, so after this, we should see the start client send section for client 1. Okay. In GameState.setter else data transfer function. Okay. Yeah, I'm having trouble here. Let's see. So we have this line right here, which is the game state setter else data transfer function. Okay, that's good and fine. And then we have the change attribute list. Okay, so it's getting added to the change attribute list at that point. Then we have after the calloc list function, so we know that the lock system is working. Then we have game state setter. Okay, and we do want to print the ID there as well, so we know what our ID is. I'll put self.id for that. That will help us a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that is going to be for client 2, if I'm just guessing here. And then we have the same thing going on here for client 2, the change attribute list. So all this stuff has been added to the change attribute list, but we never, let's see, for client 2, where are we at in the main thread? We have main while loop start, filter, client receive data transfer section. We start the receive section. We start the application section. we start the send section. So we start the send section before we actually have any data in. So let's look at 1 instead, because we wanted to see if it adds that data that should be sent and then starts the send section, which should send it from the server to the client. So main while loop start for 1, filter sent received dict section, okay, for 1, client received data transfer section for 1, and then start receive section. Then we receive, and then start application section, okay, start send section. So we started the send section already, but then we end the main while loop, so we have a new main while loop start, client received data transfer section, okay. Now we have this data being added to the each change attribute list for client 1, and this one is for client 1. So we have data added to each of these. For whatever reason, what's the last update we got? So the last update we got from the main thread was start client receive data transfer section, which is the, let's see where that is. Hold on, let me just go through all the way and see if we get another one. Okay, and we don't. So the last update we get from the main thread is here. Start client receive data transfer section. So let's highlight this. Figure out where that is. Let's see. So this is where we get our last update. And I wonder if it has anything to do with this lock acquisition. It may, because we're not getting the main thread, well, yeah, this is the main thread, and the main thread, the last thing that it did was start client receive data transfer section, which is right here. So we're not getting to this next receive section. Otherwise, we would have a printout for it. And let me be really careful and make sure we aren't. Yeah, we're not getting it. It's not there. Okay. So looking in that section as a possible culprit, I see that we have this transfer lock acquire. We also use transfer lock here. So there's a couple places where we're using locks. So we might be deadlocked. Let's go ahead and do a before transfer lock. Server and before transfer acquire, and then we'll do an after and we'll do after release. After transfer lock release. And this is if the transfer list is populated. So if the transfer list is not populated, we're not going to get anything going on here. I'm going to take a little break real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I'm about to call it quits here in a minute. I'm gonna try to figure out this last little issue, and then yeah, probably quit for the day. Okay, let's see if we can figure this shit out. So this is for if we're transferring what exactly? I can't remember. Well, it really isn't terribly important. If it's the problem, it's the problem. If it's not, it's not. We can figure that out after. And then we also have another transfer lock, but we're not gonna put a printout there. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this. So we have this new log before the transfer lock acquire and then after lock release. So let's see if we are indeed able to release that lock, or rather acquire it. We might be deadlocked before we acquire it. Okay. So let's go through it here. And I'm looking for the last update from the client 1 main thread. So I see client receive data transfer section, and isn't that the... Yep, that's the one, client receive data transfer section. So that's where we... Wait, it's wrong file? Yeah, wrong file. Okay, here we go. So that's right here, this highlighted section. And then we get before transfer lock acquire fuck, I forgot to put the client ID, which is what we need. That. Alright, now that's no big deal really, because they're basically parallel at this point. We have 2 and then 1, so this is probably like 2 and 1. So they're both acquiring this transfer lock, and that is indeed the last update we get. So it looks like we might be dealing with a deadlock here. Yep. So that's the last update we get. It's stopping somewhere between here and here. And almost certainly it's not going to stop on this if, it's not going to stop on this copy, it's not going to stop on the release. So this line right here is going to be our culprit right here. This transfer lock acquire. That's going to be our bug right here. So what is this transfer lock? Let's see. So the transfer lock is going to be dependent on the client ID. It's either going to be C2 to C1 transfer lock or C1 to C2 transfer lock. Okay. So that means it's trying to acquire this lock, but someone else is has acquired it. So let's look for C2 to C1 transfer lock and see all the different places that it's used. Oh, and it's not. Why? Okay, so this is the other. Well, this is the only other place it's explicitly used. Because it's used here. I mean, it still has to be assigned to that implicit reference. So I think this is probably all encompassing as far as where it's used. Self.c2 to c1 transfer lock. Self.c2 to c1 transfer list append. So this is, let's see the difference. This is at line 454. So the line in question is 466, and then this one is 617. So put that right here. So 466. I can't actually. I'll put it right here. 466 and then 617 servered. Okay. Seems strange to me that this would be yeah, but this is totally yeah, this is totally showing that's where it stops at. The main thread. I mean, each of the client threads, not the main thread. So it would be this line right here, these two. So let me put a log here. This is server, and we're gonna do current client ID, of course, and then we're gonna say before C1 to C2 transfer lock. And then this will be after. And we'll do the same thing here. Before C2, we have to change the numbers from 1 to 2 and 2 to 1. And then this one's going to be after. We just have to change the numbers to be C2, C1. Okay, so let's try this again. I just don't see why that would be. Well, wait a second. So those couldn't be competing, right? Because they're in the same like this is, well, unless for some reason we're using the wrong lock assignment. I don't think this is the culprit spot because I mean, this is immediately after in the same function. So how could, unless it's on the two different threads, they would be competing for the same like lock, but the whole point of having two different locks is one for each thread. Um, let's just see, just because, although I'm quite certain this is not going to be the culprit, we can give it a chance and see what we get here. Yeah, it's not even making it to six, to line 6, these lines right here. It's not this. This is not the spot. Okay. See, so what's next? So now we have to look throughout for the locks. Just have to look up every instance of lock here. Um, so the lock that is passed to here is gonna be the cal lock. It's not gonna be this transfer lock. This is a specific lock. Oh, hold up, hold up. I see. I see what's happening. This is just a simple syntax thing. I see. We're acquiring the lock, and only if the transfer list is greater than 0, um, are we releasing the lock. Idiot. Yeah, this is easy. This is an easy fix. Transfer lock acquired if length is greater than 0, then we release the lock. Okay, and then we need to add an else. Else transfer lock. Gotcha. Found ya. Found that bug. Cool. Right, so if length is greater than 0, so we acquire the lock, then we check to see if the length of transfer list is greater than 0. If it is, we make a copy, then we release the lock. That was the issue, is that in the case of not if, we needed to release that lock. It's acquired, never got released. So we have if and then else here. Ensure that it's acquired would be released. Cool. Case list is empty. So this should have fixed that bug. Let's see. Yep. Alright, so we fixed that bug. Cool. And I'm gonna go ahead and call it quits for now. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and quit for today. I'm happy with the progress. Let's see what our next is. Oh god, we got the tuple index out of range thing again. I thought we fixed that. Oh, it's a different line. So client there real quick. Client, and what line is it? 522. So let's go 522. We have current client receive this sort. So we got the same bug again. We put tube twice instead of one. So that's a simple fix. Easy money here, boys. Easy clap. Let's try and go to, let's see what we got here. Next one. Whoa, look at this. See that? That's what a while loop's supposed to look like. It's just keep, okay, so nothing is locking it up here. See this? See this constant flow right here? Of the while loop, boom, 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 boom. That right there is a program, buddy. And it's looping through over and over. There's obviously some sort of bug though, because okay, something died. System error on OEC code. Or now that I have never experienced. Never before. That might have been a timeout. I'm not sure. So that is let's try one more time, see what happens. Oh, here we go, dude. It's fucking working, bro. Here we go. It's letting me type the name. We're back in business. Uh-oh. That's not good. See the backspace? That's not how that's supposed to work. But it's not asking the other client his name, and then it literally just exited out. Alright guys, yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and call it for the day. I'm happy with the progress. That was pretty decent bug fixing going on. That was not like I didn't get jammed up on an easy one. I got caught for a minute and then I realized it. So honestly, that was pretty good in my opinion. That was like what, 3 or 4 different little bugs I knocked out. 5 total. That puts us a lot closer. I'm so far those are just tiny bugs. Those are easy fixes. That was like syntax errors. I forgot to release a lock. There's nothing like logically structural that seems to be, you know, like broken. Now is the problem before is our system was actually like broken, mental level, and it hopefully, I mean, I'm not confident, completely confident yet, but it looks like so far the system overall seems to work as far as data transfer. I don't want to speak too soon though, but I'm hopeful. That was a good session, so we're gonna put our devil 459. We're gonna say same thing. We continued debug via game testing and let's put solved 1 to 2 bugs, and then here solved 3 to 4 bugs, mostly syntax errors or minor instances of forgot forgetting to release locks in certain instances. Yeah, forgetting to release locks. That's good enough. Okay, so yeah, I'm happy with that. And we're gonna go ahead and shut it down. So we'll say 5 o'clock to just 5:02. We're going to stage, commit, and push the changes to the remote repo and create a new local backup copy of the entire project. Say backup, we're going to say backup copy. So now we can cd to the correct root directory. We now have done. We're going to do git branch to make sure we're on the right branch, and we are. We're on secondary, so now we can do add everything. We can LF warnings. Those are big deal. Now we can hit dash M double quotes. Make sure we have this top part 322 to 5:02, and the time total is going to be 11:30 to 12:31, so that's 1 hour, and then 3:22 to 5:01, that's an hour and 40. We'll just say an hour and 40, so that's we'll say 2.75 roughly. 2.75, close enough. Or we need to say 2.7. Does it really matter? No, it doesn't. So now we're going to paste in this devlog double quotes out of our commit message. We have 10 files changed, 45 insertions, 20 deletions. Now we're going to do git push canasta secondary, and that's going to push to our remote repo, and looks like that's done. Cool. Now we can go ahead and exit out of this. Are about to be out of the office. True. Programming projects Canasta. We're going to copy the project with Control C, go to the backup folder, delete the old version, ignore this message, then Control in the new one, wait for that to finish, enter into it, go to text, then devlog the file, and look at the date. The 27th is today's date, so we know that is the recent version of the project, and we can now update the folder name to reflect today's date, which is the last day. We updated our backup. So I'll see you guys next time, and have a good day. Yeah, maybe tomorrow, probably tomorrow, we'll do another session, probably an hour in the morning, and then another 1 to 2, maybe even 3 hours, but probably less than that, because I'm still a little sick. Just not feeling, like my energy's lower. Even though I took like caffeine and stuff, it just wasn't working. So I just think I need to rest and let this little